So, this is the new GHK V3 GBBR by GHK. So, if you've been following Airsoft news recently, you've probably seen this cutting about on the internet. So, today on RWTV, we're going to be doing a little bit of a comparison between a fully Hephaestus V2 GHK and the V3 here. So, without further ado, let's crack on with it. The AKM rifle has a storied history that stretches back to the Soviet Union in the 1950s. It was designed to replace the AK-47. The AKM was lighter, cheaper to manufacture, and more reliable than its predecessor, making it a popular choice for militaries and insurgent forces due to its rugged reliability. Now, I'm not going to delve into the history of the AK because, let's face it, we already know about it, and one in every firearms in the world is an AK variant. So, let's crack on with it. Externally, the GHK AKM V3 GB Airsoft rifle is an excellent replica of this iconic rifle and is an upgrade to the previous V2 system. The new standout features of the GHK V3 AKM is its full steel construction and its real wood furniture. Previously, the barrel on the GHK was made of aluminum, but now it's full steel on the V3 and it gives this nice weight and perfectly mimics the real steel one. The GHK V3 AKM is pretty much exactly the same as the V2 externally, with its adjustable sights, threaded barrel, sling points, and of course its safety. So if you're used to AKs, then finding your way around the V3 AKM will be pretty familiar to you. Another thing to add is that the receiver has a different dimension compared to the V2, to a point where original V2 dust covers will not be compatible. Taking down the V3 AKM is exactly like the V2. However, it is still pretty stiff to get off. So if you're trying to take the dust cover off, I would recommend using a small mallet or something to push the tab at the back in, as with your fingers, it's pretty difficult to do, and we've not been able to do it with our fingers. So smaller mallet is probably the best way to go. The magazine that comes with the V3 GHK AKM is practically the same as the V2. Only difference is that it is 20% lighter and is cross-compatible. So no need to go out and buy V3 mags, as your V2 mags will fit in this perfectly, and vice versa with your V2. Now, normally we bring in Gambit to tell us all the technical aspects of the AKM, but he's an AR user and knows nothing about AKs. What? So let's bring in Anis, and he can tell us what the differences are between the V2 and the V3. All right, so Anis, you've been religiously obsessing over the V3 for ages now. It's finally here. What's the main difference between the V2 and the V3?
So the main difference is basically right now, the V3 is made completely in-house by GHK, and there's way more steel parts than the V2 counterpart.
Cool. So in the box, we also get this.
Yes.
And I believe there's already one in the gun. What is this, and what does it do?
So in the older GHK V2, we have a buffer in the gun so that it doesn't actually do full travel. That's because, well, it's a gas gun. If it does full travel, it's going to cool down really badly. Now, however, with this new system, you have the option to have two different buffers. So currently, right now, you have this more or less 80% travel on the gun, giving you a more realistic chugga 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 AK type of full auto, you know, feel to it. With this buffer on, you get a more faster follow-up shot. So let's say if you go out for a CQB game or somewhat, if you only can use semi-auto, this is the buffer you want to use. But if you're on realism for filming purposes and whatnot, the buffer that came in the gun would be the one you would go for.
And the recoil is very, very strong,
yes,
right?
It is, yes.
Yeah. In our testing, it's really bumping into your shoulder, kind of throwing you off almost. Yeah. All right, so if someone's wanting to open this up, how would they do it? I believe it's pretty much the same as the V2, but there is a specific way to open it, right?
Yes, there is.
The dust cover, sorry.
Because, well, this is a brand new gun, so it wasn't breaking in like my gun, so it actually might use some force to open it. I would suggest bringing a rubber mallet to do so, because, well, you don't want to scratch up the finishing, do you now?
Here's one we had earlier.
Yep. So Slightly tap the button over here.
Jesus Christ.
And then push it up. There you go. So you wouldn't have to keep doing this with a rubber mallet after it wears in. This is an AK thing. Don't worry about it. Yeah,
They're robust.
Yeah, they are. They should be. I mean, it's full steel, right? Yeah. So this is how you open it. And as you can see right immediately that there is some slight differences from the V3 over here and the V2 over here. Mainly is the buffer spring. Instead of having just one piece of a buffer spring on the V2, it has a two-piece right now. More realistic, similar to the real thing. And also, the lack of a big plastic buffer over here, also making it more realistic to disassemble, actually.
Now, everything internally in the V3 is completely steel, right?
Yes.
Compared to before, if you wanted steel stuff, you'd have to buy an aftermarket parts like a Festus, right?
Yes, definitely. So back then in the V2, the bolt, the fire control, even the outer barrel were all either aluminum or some kind of alloy. So you don't get the recoil sensation you get on the V3 right now, and also you don't get the robustness. So I actually ran into troubles actually when I was like trying to give a weather finish to my gun. And then when I noticed that the original barrel of the V2 is actually aluminum, so when you put a sandpaper on it, it kind of looks like you're sanding down a Coke can, which doesn't look quite good. With the V3 right now, you have a steel outer barrel giving you more realistic weight. Also with the bolt, the steel, fire controls are all steel. Basically, you get a full steeled out gun with the same price as you would pay for the V2 before. I would tell you that like I spent a lot of money on this gun, like a lot, like $200 or $300 extra just to get all the steel parts in this V2 gun, while you can get all of that in this gun for the same price. So this is actually a steal.
Damn. All right, so compatibility with the V3 and the V2. What is compatible and what's not compatible? Obviously, apart from the magazines and I'm guessing probably the flash hider as well, what can we put in and vice versa?
Honestly, not that much. I would say probably the handguard, stock, and maybe pistol grip only. Now, why would I say this is because GHK completely redesigned the receiver for the V3. So let's just show you. This is my V2 gun, and I'm going to remove the dust cover. So as you can see, the V2 dust cover and the V3's dust cover side by side, the V3 is actually significantly shorter than the V2, meaning that even the dust covers will not fit on each gun. Now, that being said, I actually removed the bolts and the fire control group. The fire control group remains kind of the same. However, because the bolt is now of a different shape, it's a more realistic shape, it doesn't fit the V2 and vice versa. And because of that, I actually would imagine that the V2 bolt will not work on the V3.
So internally, probably nothing is compatible that we know for now.
Yes. Yeah. However, the saving grace would be, again, the magazines are compatible. So if you do have a V2 GHK before, don't worry, all your mags will work with the V3. Actually, during our testing and all our filming beforehand, we were using my V2 mags to do the speed reloads.
Yes.
Yeah, so we haven't tested it with the CO2 mags yet, but I'd imagine they work as well.
So last question. You are a big AK man. Mm-hmm. If you had to choose between going the full Hephaestus route and buying another AK or buying the V3, which one would you choose?
Honestly, if I can do it all over again, I'll just get the V3 because I don't have to go through all the troubles to like source all the steel parts. I mean, GHK's build quality is really good. However, because, for example, the older outer barrel being aluminum, if I play in outdoors, if I drop the gun, the barrel will get bent and it will really affect the accuracy. And if I have to go out and source a steel barrel for like, I don't know, 50 or 60 US dollars, that's a lot of money. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it seems like GHK has really stepped up their game and is just doing amazing things now.
They do.
Yeah. All right, well, thank you very much, Nice.
No
Much
worries.
appreciated. Okay, now all the technical aspects are out of the way, let's head to the range and see how the V3 AKM performs. Okay, and now for the chrono, we're using 0.2 gram BBs and green gas. So here we are at landing zone at their 30-meter range. We have got our target roughly set up about 20 meters down that way today. We're going to use 0.25 gram BBs. So let's see how the V2 performs. Load the magazine, off safe, off we go. Whoa. Damn. The recoil on this is pretty insane. I'm actually struggling to keep on target a little bit because of the recoil, so if you're picking one of these up, just remember that the recoil is going to be pretty banging into your shoulder there. Wow. All right, let's go down and check out the results. Okay, so let's take a gander. Not bad. I can see a couple of flyers up here, so we're not going to count those, but the main grouping here, if my pen will work, it's actually pretty decent. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, that is pretty good for an AK. Just remember that when you are using GHKs, you tend to want to upgrade it a little bit more from out of the box, especially your inner barrel and whatnot. So you'll probably get better performance than us if you use heavier gram BBs or aftermarket barrel. But yeah, for results out of the box of the V3, it's pretty decent. All right, so that's it for the accuracy test. Let's head back to the studio. And we're back. So the GHK V3 is basically a pre-upgraded AKM out of the box from GHK, which still costs the same as the V2 with all the steel parts out of the box, which is amazing. As well as a QC being done in-house at the factory by GHK themselves. And you can see this by marks on the receivers from where they've been testing and the magazines. And to be honest, it's quite hard finding any flaws with the V3. So with its full steel updated internals, its excellent recoil, and the exquisite finish, we give the GHK AKM version 3 GBBR 5 stars out of 5. This really is the best gas AKM made better. If realism is your go-to for a gas blowback, then this is by far the best choice, hands down. So what are your thoughts on the GHK AKM V3 GBBR? Let us know in the comments section below, and for these cool products and many, many more, visit us at www.redwolfairsoft.com. This is Duke, out.
I think this gun is defected. There's missing a bolt catch and a fire selector. It's nothing here. And mag release. What's this? This is a dust cover? Like when you finish the round, you just slide it up? No? No? Oh.